You've built a life around being alone and convinced yourself that your isolation is actually wisdom. Your preference for staying home isn't a flaw or some kind of social failure. It's actually the most honest way you've found to protect the only person who's always been there for you. You aren't broken for needing the door locked. You aren't weird for finding more comfort in a book than a crowded bar. For years, you've been told to fix your quietness, but maybe the world is just too loud to hear anything worth saying. You've carved out a space in your own head where it's peaceful, it's safe, it's where the best parts of you actually live without being judged. But there's a tiny nagging thought you keep pushing down. If being alone is so perfect, why does it sometimes feel like a situation you can't escape, even though you're the one holding the keys? You aren't the only one scrolling through videos like this at 3 in the morning. Look at any forum and you'll see thousands of people saying the exact same things. They say they finally found their group by staying away from everyone else. They celebrate being an introvert like it's a secret club of the enlightened. It feels good to see those words on the screen and realize you aren't a freak. It's a relief to know that your exhaustion after an hour of small talk is shared by millions. But beneath all those relatable posts and comfort, there's a cold shiver of reality. You see people you used to know posting photos of trips you weren't invited to because they knew you'd say no. You see years of your life blurring together into a series of quiet weekends that leave no memories behind. You're starting to realize that while you were busy protecting your energy, you might have accidentally protected yourself right out of having a life. The fear isn't that you're an introvert. The fear is that you're using a personality label to justify a slow disappearance from the world. You're worried that the person you're becoming is someone who doesn't even exist to the rest of the world. This isn't just about being tired after a party. It's about how you've started to view your own potential. You've started to believe that your quiet nature is a permanent boundary that you can't ever cross. You're treating your personality like a fixed sentence instead of a starting point. Your introversion has become a beautiful velvet lined coffin that you've mistaken for a bedroom. It's comfortable and it's quiet, but nothing actually grows in there. If that landed the way I think it did, stay with me, because what comes next is the part that actually matters for your future. If you feel that sudden tightness in your chest, it's because we're finally touching the truth. Sharing this realization in the comments or seeing if anyone else felt that shift is how we start to break the cycle. Subscribing is just a way to make sure you don't lose this thread of honesty when things get comfortable again. We're going to look at why your brain does this and how to actually use it. You can't afford to keep living in a space that's getting smaller every day. The science says your brain is literally wired differently. It's mostly about how you process rewards and stimulation. Most people have a high threshold for dopamine, which means they need loud music and big crowds to feel anything. Your brain is much more sensitive. You reach that peak much faster. Think of it like having a cup that fills up with only a few drops of water, while everyone else has a bucket. It's called the reticular activating system. That's just a fancy way of saying your internal volume knob is turned up to 10 by default. You don't hate people, you're just constantly being shouted at by the environment. Your defensive voice is probably screaming right now that this is just your biology and you can't change it. You think you're stuck with this sensitivity forever and that means you're destined for the sidelines. But here's the truth that might hurt. Your biology isn't a cage, it's just your hardware. You've been using your hardware as an excuse to stop trying. Just because you get overstimulated doesn't mean you lack the capacity for deep connection. You've been using your sensitivity as a way to avoid the risk of being misunderstood. But the cost of that choice is total isolation. Here's the part you didn't see coming. Your introversion isn't a reason to hide, it's actually your greatest tool for influence. You've traveled a long way from that first thought of just wanting some peace. You can see now that your quietness isn't the problem. The problem is the story you've told yourself about what that quietness means for your worth. You aren't avoiding people because you're an introvert. You're avoiding them because you're afraid of being seen as not enough. So, is being an introvert actually bad? Not at all. But using introversion as a hiding spot is a slow form of suicide for your soul. The reframe you need is simple. Your quietness isn't a limit on where you can go, it's a filter for who you let in. You don't have to become a loud social butterfly to be successful or happy. You just have to stop being a ghost in your own life. Tomorrow, don't try to go to a party. Just say one honest, unscripted sentence to a stranger. Share one real thought instead of a polite nod. Give yourself permission to be seen in small, manageable doses. The version of you that's brave and connected isn't gone. It's just waiting for you to stop holding your breath. You can start being real without being loud. Just take one breath and let the world see you're still there.